Hi, this is Shane Dalager. Welcome to my audio podcast for the Hunkite Technology Design Inspiration website that I found, talking about the 8 technologies that will shape the future of classrooms. The first technology I'd like to talk about today is augmented reality devices like Google Glass. Using the capability of these devices will allow users to see additional information layered over what they see through the lenses. Currently, however, access to augmented reality technology for educational purposes is mostly limited to smartphone apps or tablets. These devices will allow students to explore the world without having to hold up a device, allowing them to look at an object through the Google Glass and gain additional information if they request it. Items like Google Glass would be invaluable in an environment like a museum. This would allow the students to gain information on certain artifacts for items they want to know more about. What is the history? Small animations or movies on how these items were used. Items like Google Glass would be invaluable in an environment like a museum. This would allow the students to gain information on certain artifacts for items they want to know more about. What is the history? Small animations or movies on how these items were used. This would also allow the instructors to go on a virtual field trip. By wearing the glasses, they can transmit the information that they see to students all over the world in an online classroom. An additional benefit to this technology is in the classroom, if the instructor is looking at an item in particular, the students can see exactly which item the instructor is looking at. The article goes on to talk about the use of 3D printing in the future classroom. The use of 3D printers for show and tell would allow students to create 3D prototypes on a small scale to see if they work. For engineering students, used together with computer-aided design modeling software and 3D printing will allow the students to experiment freely with their designs, decreasing the cost and time prior to working on a full-size prototype. Even though 3D printers can print things much smaller than actual size, it can be used in the other way to create a larger model of small objects to show the students what they need to know and that the item may be too small to effectively use in the classroom. So by using a larger model, it's easier to point out information to the students. The third item in the article goes on to cloud computing. As students have access to stored information in a cloud, which is accessed by Wi-Fi, this means the students don't have to have devices that have a lot of active memory. Student work and information can be accessed anywhere you have a Wi-Fi signal. No need for devices with large amounts of storage memory. Information can be collaboratively shared between students and allow them access to all their resources so they don't have to carry around textbooks for every class. They just have to carry around a tablet which allows them access to the information for the classes they are taking. Campus libraries may be a thing of the past. This allows the students to digitally access any information, even when the library is not open. Cloud technology allows students to attend classes even if they're not physically able to attend classroom, they can attend virtually through the internet. Assignments can be easily distributed to the class, thus minimizing the student to be physically present. Online social networking sites. Number 4. Use of these sites, such as Second Life, allow the students to move freely around in a virtual world to enable them to explore and share their ideas meaningfully and to freely move around in the world where they are, meanwhile finding the information they want in a virtual or video game type world. Sites like these would allow the instructors to take the students on a virtual tour of a made-up world in the internet or imaginary space. As an instructor, you could use this to highlight or use alternate colors on devices in a virtual setting to point out key areas or concepts that the student can pay attention to, but not putting the students unnecessarily in an unsafe situation where they could be physically harmed in an environment around them. Number 5. Flexible displays. Flexible displays can be used in the classroom, allowing the students to use interactive notes on memo pads of super thin paper devices, much like that of a smartphone or a tablet. OLED displays are just like regular paper, with the display that will be lightweight, flexible, and extremely thin. This means we can roll them up in tubes and be folded like newspapers. These papers will allow, just like a tablet, the ability to move, swipe, tap, pinch, and expand information. Flexible papers are thin displays that will soon replace traditional paper-based products in the future. A nice lightweight device that you can interact with and carry around without being a lot of weight that allows you to create your designs and ideas on. The article goes on to talk about biometric eye tracking for item number 6. The use of biometric eye tracking can be effectively used in the classroom to see where the students are focusing their attention, allowing the instructor to create better presentations. This technology allows the users of online education to focus on that portion of the multimedia activities that the students are paying most attention to. This then allows the instructors to create a better online experience for students in future adaptations. Theoretical examples of this technology are shown in the movie Minority Report, where identifying people by their eyes, the marketing department can better advertise to the individual information that's relative to them specifically, and law enforcement now know the location of all its citizens. While it's a shocking adaptation of what the future may hold for such technology, good things can become of it when relating it to the educational experience, making it better and more effective. The 7th item in the article goes on to talk about multi-touch LCD screens. Much like the transition from blackboard to whiteboard to overhead projector to video projector in the classroom showing things on the computer to these students, why not use a gigantic LCD screen which allows a great amount of interactivity, thus allowing the instructor the ability to change things on the go with the students as they ask questions about material related to the objectives they are learning, allowing the students to come up and manipulate information and explain or use the board in a way that is both interactive and fun for the learning experience. LCD touchscreens are now starting to be used in restaurants to allow customers' orders to be taken without having a waiter come to the table. It also allows the splitting up of the bill depending on who ordered what, and allows the payment of what you've ordered by simply placing your credit card on the interactive screen to simply pay for the food once it's arrived. This type of technology has been in place for the past 6 to 8 years. Things like smart boards enable you to create interactive activities for students. However, at this point, smart boards are relatively small in size, being that of a large television. It's good for smaller classes, but in the future, having an entire board area that can be interactive will allow instructors to teach larger classes, and more activities will be available. Lastly, number 8, game-based learning. As this is a generation of students that have grown up with games, it not only serves as a natural progression that the instructors create an interactive classroom learning experiences based around games. Games seem to hold the students' attention. They want to be entertained. The ability to move through a game, starting off on simple concepts and moving towards more complex concepts in a fun way, allows the students to have enjoyed the experience while they're learning. As we know, there are many ways to learn, but with a little bit of work on the instructor's behalf, it would be easy to create a video game that would be the right learning experience to that student. They can gain the concepts without having to be the subject of one style of learning. They can gain more access to all different styles of learning and use the one that works best for them. Most students enjoy interactivity that the video game allows, but they can still be structured to accomplish the objectives set out by the educational system. The use of motion technology sensing with systems like Microsoft Kinect for the use of learning sign language or how to play a musical instrument based on hand position. Kinect is also being used in the medical field. This allows the surgeons to freely go between one X-ray to the next without having to leave the operating room and having to get desterilized before re-entering the operating room. Just by the wave of a hand, you can move, expand, zoom in on several aspects of an X-ray and photos of the operation file while doing this all with never having to ever leave the operating room, just based on motion sensing technology. Motion sensing technology and the creation of games has started off one-dimensionally with the scanning of people's hands and arms and legs and heads, but ever since that came out, 3D imaging has now gone into a three-dimensional mode where 3 of the sensors are used to create a 3D image. Educational material in the future, based on video gaming, will soon take advantage of this increased sensory perception of motion sensing technology to allow more interactive exercises and educational experience. Look to the future in education beyond the classroom. Having the students just sit in a classroom is one of the ways of instructing. But with the technology that's available to us, why would you not take education beyond the traditional classroom and outside the classroom, making learning a fun, interactive experience on the next level? Thank you for listening to my podcast.